Welcome to the Daily MBA, where business wisdom is served fresh and fast, straight from one of the top MBA programs in the world. I'll give you summaries of my lectures and readings, as well as the most important insights gained from an MBA, so you can apply all of this knowledge in every business. Let's get started. In today's episode, I'm going to start talking about a concept called elasticity. And what is this? Properly, it should be called in economics own price elasticity, but this is going to be a measurement of the strength of the relationship between price and quantity. So, whenever you see a flat demand curve, let's say, this is going to be something that's very elastic. And why is it? Because if it's flat, a very small change in price will have a huge change in the quantity. And this will show that prices are very influential in that market. And this is called elastic. Now, when you have a steep demand curve, you might move price, but you won't get relevant changes in the quantity. And so this means that if you're changing the price a lot, quantity won't change as fast. And here's how we call the inelastic ones. So how do we calculate the elasticity? It's always going to be around the same formula. It's going to be the percent change in quantity over the percent change in price. Because what we want to measure with elasticity is how responsive is the quantity of the market when we're talking about the price. And there are many ways of following up this number. But so the main elasticity that's called own price elasticity will be the one that's measured when we have the entire curve. And so if this number is between 0 and -1, the percent change in quantity over the percent change in price, this will mean it's inelastic. So let's say a value of 0.5, negative 0.5 would be inelastic. But if it's under -1, so -2, -3, any number below that, that will mean it's elastic because one change in price will have almost the double change in the quantity. So inelastic will be a value between 0 and -1 because it's just creating a tiny effect. But when it's elastic, it will have a big effect. It will be more than one. Another measure of elasticity is going to be the arc elasticity. But this one, you're going to calculate it when you don't have the entire curve, but only specific points. And so here, we wouldn't know the slope of the demand curve, let's say. So for calculating this one, we still need the percent change of quantity over the percent change of price, but this will involve a little bit more math because for getting the percent change of quantity, we're going to need something. First, we're going to need the quantity number 1, and we're going to take away the quantity 0. So first, we'll find the difference of the quantities, and that will divide it by the average of the quantity. And the average of the quantity, I guess it's very intuitive for most, but for those of you who isn't, you would add both quantities and divide them by 2. So when you get the difference of quantity divided by the average of quantity, this will give you the percent change of quantity. And then you have to do same thing with the price. You'll do the difference of the two prices divided by the average of both prices, and then you'll have the percent change of price. And this will give you the arc elasticity, which is basically the same, but when you don't have the entire curve for calculating it. There is a third type of elasticity that's called the cross-price elasticity, or also the cross elasticity. And for this one, you don't only care about the price of the good that you are changing the quantity, but you have in mind the price of other goods and its responsiveness. And if you were listening to my previous podcasts, you'll know that there are two types of goods that may have an effect in another good. One of them would be the substitutes. So those are going to be Coke and Pepsi, for example. But also you may find the complements. So complements are going to be peanut butter and jelly. Here you want to find the cross price elasticity. So how much will an effect in the price of one of them will have in the other product. So same equation will be used here. The changes of quantity, the percent changes, but here it will be of, let's say, percent changes of quantity A, of product A, let's say Coke, over the percent changes of price in product B. So let's say Pepsi. If this number is above 0, so it's a positive number, it will mean these are substitutes. So just how I was saying, Pepsi and Coke. But if the number was below 0, these are going to be complements. And I don't know if you remember on my last episode, but this is also a bit intuitive. Why will it be positive and make them substitutes? Because if price of one goes up, the quantity of the other will go up because now you don't want the first one, you're substituting it. But if they are complements and the price of one goes up, then you won't want to buy that one, so the quantity will go down. And so the cross-price elasticity will be the one used for determining if goods are complements or substitutes. And we also may find another type of elasticity that's called the income elasticity. And so the income one will be related to the types of goods that I was mentioning also in my previous episodes that were normal goods and inferior goods. So let's summarize it again. Normal goods are the ones that you buy more of when you get more money. Inferior goods will be the ones that you don't buy more when you get more money. So inferior goods were instant noodles, for example, and normal goods were good clothes. So for this one, we're not going to be comparing them, but we're going to be comparing the percent change in quantity, and then we will do that to the percent change in income. If this value is positive, so that is above 0, it's going to mean we're talking about a normal good because income went up, quantity goes up. If it's below 0, it's a negative number, it will mean it's an inferior good because you have more income, but then quantity is going down. So this, as you're seeing, it's actually intuitive. It's the same concepts that we were mentioning last time, but now we're putting them with equations. And it's going to be always the same equation repeatedly because we're going to have the percent change of quantity over the percent change of either income, the percent change of price, or the percent change of price of another good. So elasticity is going to be simpler than you can think. But there's one last thing that we should consider about elasticity, and it's when you are moving through the demand curve. So this is a bit more harder to understand, but if you move along the curve, you will find that that same curve may have different levels of elasticity. So if you move down the demand, let's say when quantity is bigger, it's going to start being harder to move. So the elasticity is going to fall as the quantity starts getting higher because it's going to be harder to move that quantity when it's already reaching a very high amount. And this will show that not all of the elasticity is determined by the type of the good, but also from where you are looking at it. So if it's in a low price, high price, in a small quantity, or in a big quantity. But elasticity is going to be related to the effect the price may have over quantity. So for now, I'm going to start giving you simple examples to see if you can intuitively think if a product is elastic or inelastic. So let's say there's an important medicine that you need to buy for your health and you need to take it every day. If that medicine gets more expensive, will it have an effect on the quantity that you're buying? Probably not, because you still need it for surviving. And so, if you are going to keep buying it, this means it's inelastic. It won't have a big effect on the amount that you're buying. But if, for example, you have something more simple, like pasta, and pasta one day decides to change its price and starts costing $20, one package of mac and cheese, then probably you won't buy it because you don't need that thing. And this is making it very elastic. Just a small change in price or even a big change in price will have a drastic effect in the quantity because now you don't want to buy it. You don't need that thing. So you can start thinking of common objects or things that you're using and thinking if they are elastic or inelastic. And you may also think how this is seen within complements, substitutes, inferior goods, or normal goods. All of this is important for companies because elasticity is very related to the total revenue. Total revenue of a company is usually going to be the price times the quantity. That is how much money you are making from selling anything. And what we're going to see is that total revenue rises as the price falls if the demand is elastic. So, this elasticity will allow you to know as a company if you can raise prices or not. Because, for example, if a price is elastic, you will do better by lowering the price and raising the quantity sold. But if the price is inelastic, so people will buy it either way, you will do better by increasing the price and lowering a little bit more the quantity. This, knowing your market and knowing its elasticity, will allow you to have changes in prices, which is going to make companies more profitable and will also bring more money in their pockets. So, for the next lesson, I'm going to start talking about the marginal revenue, which will be saying the extra revenue I get from selling an extra unit, but I won't start going deep into that because I want to dedicate a full episode on knowing how your revenues work when they're studied by economics. I'll see you next week.